So welcome back everybody to PoolieMagTV, the raw, unedited, unscripted NUFC fan channel where everybody's got an opinion and nobody's opinion's wrong. Well, my opinion is that the weather is absolutely beautiful out there. It's too hot to be sat in an office working all day, so I thought I'd bring you a quick morning video. So it looks like Newcastle have really wrapped up the signing of Anthony Elanga now, which is absolutely fantastic. I've made a video on him. Go check that out. But the links to the forward, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, do not seem to be going away. Now, I don't get this. I know he's a free and he's British and, you know, he had one good season and it's only back up and, you know, it's a free, so what can it hurt? But away, man. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not the type of player we need for Newcastle United, is he? He's just not. He's not good enough. He's injured all the time. We've just got rid of Callum Wilson practically because of his injuries. If he hadn't been injured, we wouldn't have got rid of Callum Wilson. Wouldn't have mattered how old he was. We wouldn't have got rid of him if he'd have been fit for the last 2 seasons and he'd have been scoring goals like he did the couple of seasons before that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin hasn't been good for about 4 years. And let's face it, he's had one good season really for Everton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not the answer. Please, Newcastle United, do not follow up the really, really good signing of Anthony Elanga with fucking Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because that will just, well, it won't get my whet my appetite, put it that way. And I don't think it will anybody else, to be fair. I've seen other Newcastle fan channels say, well, it's a free, you know, what damage can it do? What damage can it do? Well, put it this way, if Isaac gets injured, would you rely on Dominic Calvert-Lewin to take his place? Because I wouldn't. He's more injured than Isaac. He's more injured than Callum Wilson. You know, he's just not a good player. I don't think he plays the way we play. You know, he's a little bit more like a Chris Wood type of player. Very aerial, very robust. We don't play that type of football. It didn't work with Chris Wood, and I don't think it's going to work with, you know, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Imagine being away from home at Real Madrid. You know, you're a goal down, and you bring on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We're meant to be the richest club in the world, and I know we got PSR and FFP and all that shite, but you know, we're meant to be the richest club in the world, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes on. Can you imagine the people in the Bernabeu looking at each other thinking, oh, what the fuck? Who's this coming on for these? You know what I mean? Isaac's just knackered. It's 80th minute, we're 1-0 down or something like that, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes on. Come on. There's got to be better out there. Don't expect us to sign a world-class striker, because world-class strikers don't sit on the bench. I really don't, but there's got to be better options out there than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Show it to God there has. You know what I mean? He's just not a good player. I don't think he'll suit any of the way we play. And I just don't think he's the type of player that will get the fans excited. Sunderland are buying better players than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin would do well for Sunderland. Dominic Calvert-Lewin would do well for a Championship club. He'd do well for a Burnley. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not a Champions League player. Sorry, he's not. Whether he's on a free or not, there's got to be players out there for 15, 20 million who are maybe 20, 21-year-old who would be quite happy to sit on the bench for most of the season to learn the trade under Isaac. There's got to be them type of players out there that are better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Because this man is injury prone. He's not a very good footballer. Yeah, he had one good season, and I think he's lived off that, hasn't he? Every other club that's went in for him has lived off the fact that Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you know, has had one good season in about 10 years at Everton. You know what I mean? Like, look at his stats. Look at his injury record. He's not a good player. At least Callum Wilson was a good player, which is why we probably kept him that extra season. Callum Wilson was a very, very good player. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's never been on Callum Wilson's level. So why would you replace Callum Wilson with another crock? You just wouldn't. I just don't get it. I really don't. You know, there's got to be better players. I know we've been linked with Ekatike again. Drink for the working man. Water. But I really don't think Ekatike will come, to be fair, because Ekatike scored 15 goals and got 8 assists for Frankfurt last season. Why would he come to sit on Newcastle's bench? He's not going to get his game over Isaac. That's the problem we have. The problem we have is we've got an Isaac problem, haven't we? You know, Isaac's that good that no top striker, no top goal scorer is going to want to come and sit on Newcastle United's bench, which is why we need to be looking at, you know, younger players who would be willing to, you know what I mean? I know we linked with Ollie Watkins. I don't see him leaving Aston Villa to sit on our bench either. I know we've got to rotate, but let's face facts. If Alexander Isak's fit, he's playing, isn't he? You know, we ain't resting Isak. We might rest him in the League Cup now and then. Might rest him in the FA Cup if we got like a Blackburn or something, you know. But realistically, we're not resting Alexander Isak much, are we? We might take him off, but he's going to start most games if he's fit. So when we're taking him off, give Willis Sula a try. You know what I mean? Bring in another type of Willis Sula type player. We don't need Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I just don't think anything about him, to be fair. I just don't, nothing about this potential signing gets me excited, whether he's free, whether he's English, whether it's homegrown, quarter, whatever. I just don't rate him at all. I think he's worse than Callum Wilson, and he's another crock, and he's just be sat on the bench all season or injured when he comes on. And I don't rate him. We don't play the style of football that suits Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think his best season come under Sam Allardyce or Ronald Koeman, who play very long ball football. You know what I mean? So there you go. We don't play long ball football. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's he's not a great player. And he's not a player who had one for Newcastle United. Anyway, what's everybody's thoughts and opinions on that? Would you have Dominic Calvert-Lewin for Newcastle? Who would you like to see come in? I know we've been linked with Schmodix from Ipswich. I don't know about that one. Been linked with Ekatike. We've been linked with Watkins. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin seems to be the one that Eddie Howe seems to want. He seems to be an Eddie Howe style player. You know, but what's everybody else's thoughts and opinions on that? Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, comment down below. The channel's grown. We get more subscribers, we get more comments, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, and have a great day. And what's your opinions on Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Anyway, I'll leave it there. Have a great Thursday or Friday when you see this. So hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, keep it black and white, and keep it PoolieMagTV. Over and out, folks.